Hi, everybody. Welcome to a very special bonus episode of Am I the Asshole? Guys, Bean Dad is blowing up. I had to cover it, and I thought, who's the right person? Who is the person who I know will get exactly the right amount of angry and maybe a little more at Bean Dad? And it's Keith. It's Keith Malley of Keith and the Girl. Keith, welcome to the show.
I get railed up. Hey, good to be here. Good to see ya. How's everything going over there? I actually last night I had some beans, so I think I'm prepared.
You're very qualified. Before we kind of get into it, I wanted to ask you some questions, you know, because I look up to you as a man and a podcaster, mainly a podcaster, but to some extent.
That's fair.
I'm on the singles scene now, Keith, and it's really confusing for me because I feel so emotional. You know, I'm out there and I'm you know, engaging with these women, and then like if there's no emotional connection, the physical aspect is not great.
Well, you tried. It's a bonus, so we can say anything here. You tried.
No, it's public. This is public.
This is. Oh, I don't know what bonus means then. Well, anyway, we're gonna get into it. So I know you can't. You tried a friends with benefits thing not too long ago. You can't do that, right? You're not that type of person.
Well, I mean, I couldn't do that in that situation that you're referring to, wink, wink, because I still had feelings for her. Right. So that was almost a different thing. This is the reverse. This is, I'm like, so there's someone and I like them. I'm cool with them. I'm just not like romantically interested in them. And then, you know, we went at it and I like didn't enjoy it. And I'm like, oh my God. I remember being a young man and being like, yeah, I'm getting laid. And now I'm like, I can't do that again. This was like a nightmare.
It's I think it's the same point I'm making. You have feelings, and you can't have the adventures that you think cool cats have, and that's just the way you're built. What do you put for your dating profile? Like I remember, you can pick one night stands. Everybody seems to click no one night stands, but that's what everybody's doing. What do you click?
Well, I hate a one night stand. Let me say that. I can't think of anything worse than a one night stand because it's not good. The first time you hook up, it's horrible because you don't know what they like and you don't know what you like from them, and it's just. But I put everything short. I put hookup and short-term dating because of a lot of criticism I got on this podcast from our dear listeners who said, Danny, you shouldn't be out there dating. And then I had a friend who just tore me a new one because she said, you know, you're on Bumble and that's a long-term app and you're not ready to be in a long-term thing.
Oh, that's what they pick. Now I remember. They wouldn't pick long-term. Like they were finding that special one because they look too desperate. Meanwhile, it is also what most people are looking for. What, we're hitting it off too good? You're like, I gotta go. I don't want to be too happy with the first person I date.
Right. I like you too much. I'd like to have kind of a miserable life is what I'm aiming for. But so you just think this is how I'm wired, you know, and I guess that's what I was kind of asking you. You know, you're a little older than me. This is not a maturity thing or an age thing or a phase of life thing. That's kind of where I was going with it. You say no. No, this is you. You're, I mean, I happen to guess it based on some other relationship, and you're saying the same thing, quite frankly. Sure. No, you need real feelings. Yeah, I do. I guess I'm in touch with my feelings, or I'm an emotional person, you know. I guess that's just how it is.
Sorry.
It's kind of a headache.
Is that tough, watching like movies and cool dudes are getting puss and you're like, that's not me?
It seems like they're having a lot of fun out there. And then like, so I was like, I'll go have fun out there and that'll be great. And then I'm trying it and I'm like, no, this really isn't great because I can't see a future with this person. And I'm like, my body's like, oh yeah, well, you know, we're not into it then. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, they're hot. And my body's like, no, we know they're not. No, just don't do this. And I'm like, all right, Jesus, man.
Do you have trouble keeping an erection?
Yes. Yes, the whole thing. My system shuts down and I'm like trying to argue with myself. And I'm like, God, I'm just, okay, so I can't do that. I literally physically cannot do this.
Do you wish you could? Have you thought of taking those gas station pills?
I mean, no, because, you know, it is psychological for me. And then at first, because I'm concerned because I've identified myself as codependent, right? I leap into these relationships, but then I'm like, yeah, I do. But not with just anyone. It's not like I'm desperate. It's just like I feel a connection with someone and I kind of go for it.
Well, then that's you. Congrats.
Great. Well, it's good to know I'm all alone with this problem.
But everybody's, I mean, so many people have that. They just don't want to, again, they don't want to type it in. it seems like they're desperate or they're asking for marriage on a first date.
Right.
There's another person like you there.
I'll find them.
You're just gonna find them. But take off one night stand then, if that's not you.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just honestly like I'm ready to just not really have sex unless I'm kind of serious with someone, and I feel all Christian and Mormon, and I'm like, well, I think they were right about me.
Yeah, no, it's a shame. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's like, what was the moon like when your parents fucked? But this is the person you are, and what's done is done.
Yeah, I guess so. That's just how it's going to be. But if there is some good news, folks, it's that I'm not Bean Dad. Now, Keith, you had heard of Bean Dad. You sort of got the big picture.
I know the gist, and I'm glad you're going to remind people because I understand he closed his Twitter account. I saw it trending, something called Bean Dad, and so I looked it up, and then I saw it was like post 1 of 60, and I only read the first post, and you can tell I was guessing. And I must be right because I knew people were mad. They weren't happy. They were mad at this guy. And it seemed like he had a 9-year-old daughter that didn't know how to open up a can of beans with a can opener. So right there, I'm like, oh, it's another Kids Today story. I give a fuck. But yeah, it was obviously news. And then you mentioned it. And I'm like, okay. It's weird what takes off too. Who the fuck gives a shit? But somehow this took off and became #1 trending for 24 full hours.
This guy, I can't believe he did this via Twitter. I mean, I posted every tweet, and that's what I'm going to read here in our Facebook group. And people were like, "This is insanely long." And this guy did it into Twitter, which is just sheer madness. But so the broad overview of the story: guy's daughter wants to eat a can of beans. She's hungry when she starts. Instead of just teaching her, he views this as a teaching moment and kind of makes her understand how to learn to use this can opener. And as Keith said, everybody got mad. So I converted this to an Am I the Asshole? But this guy thought he was telling a beautiful story. He was not actually asking if he was the asshole. AITA for forcing my daughter to learn to use a can opener for 6 hours. So that's my little title. So yesterday, my daughter, 9, female, and I was doing a jigsaw puzzle. So I said over my shoulder, after she said she was hungry, make some baked beans. She said, how? Like all kids do, they want you to do it. So I said, open a can and put it in a pot. She brought me the can and said, open it how? With a can opener, I said, incredulous. She brought me the can opener and we both stared at it. I realized I'd never taught her how to use it. Most cans now have pull tops. I felt like a dope. What kind of apocalypse father doesn't teach his kid how to use a manual can opener? And here's a little background on this guy. He has, like, I guess apocalypse dad is part of his, like, thing. He's, like, survivalisty or something. And this guy's chief credit, by the way, to give this some context, is he has a podcast with Ken Jennings. The Jeopardy guy that might take Trebek's job, supposedly, right? Exactly.
Now, I happened to see this, actually. I printed it out and didn't talk about this on Keith and the Girl yet. So Ken Jennings tweeted out before this happened, hey, I just wanted to own up to the fact that over the years on Twitter, I've definitely tweeted some unartful and insensitive things. Sometimes they worked as jokes in my head, and I was dismayed to see how they read on screen. One of X. That means, you didn't take the time to... I'll figure it out as I go. I care so much. In the past, Ken Jennings wrote, I usually leave bad tweets up just so they can be dunked on. At least that way they could lead to smart replies and even advocacy. Now, these were dumb tweets. Tweets such as, I remember one, it's a shame when a beautiful person is in a wheelchair. What a waste. These kind of clever things.
Jesus, man.
Deleting them felt like whitewashing mistake. But I think that practice may have given the impression that I stand by every failed joke I've ever posted on here. Not at all. Sometimes I said dumb things in a dumb way, blah, blah, blah. So obviously this guy has a chance to get the Jeopardy job, and he's got to make some kind of comment. Ken Jennings.
I mean, it's interesting because now they're both under fire for Twitter. I mean, I think Jennings is good. I mean... But just go through your tweets. Isn't that a lesson for these people?
Right.
Go through your tweets.
Right.
All right. Back to the bean person.
Yes.
We're at the point where he's the can opener. He goes, how do you think this works? She studied it and applied it to the top of the can sideways. She struggled for a while and with a big dramatic sigh said, will you please just open the can? Apocalypse Dad was overjoyed. A teaching moment. I said, this device does one thing. Open cans. Study the parts. Study the can. Figure out what the can opener inventor was thinking.
Fuck off.
Right?
Yeah. First of all, cheap can openers don't even work half the fucking time.
That's such a good point.
This is silly. Is there a lip on that can? This guy's trying to be deep when there's nothing deep to be there. This is such lazy teaching. This isn't even real teaching. And by the way, that's not what my teacher did. Here's a math book, figure it out. No, she wrote shit on the chalkboard and woke you up when you fell asleep. That's what happened. For the 4th, 5th grade, to figure it out. Okay, then I'll figure out everything. Fuck you.
I went back to my jigsaw. She was next to me grunting and groaning. I knew this would be a challenge, but it was a rainy weekend. Eventually, she collapsed. I said, explain the part. She said, this wheel's meant to cut. These girls turn the wheel. This other wheel looks like a gear, but isn't. She couldn't figure out the clamping step, a key element. Yes. Are you kidding me? Who could figure it out? But it's like incredibly difficult to do. Even when I knew how a can opener worked, getting the actual clamp properly secured.
Yeah.
I said the tool is made to be pleasing, but it doesn't have any superfluous qualities.
You know what would have been funny? She comes back from the kitchen with ketchup all over her hands and goes, oh my God, I think I figured it out.
Yeah. Can I just say he says the tool is made to be pleasing? No, it's fucking not. It's a can opener. It's made to open cans.
Right.
They were like, oh, how can we make this like nice? How can we make the UX of the can? No, he's flat wrong. This guy's just so full of himself. She said, I hate you. I'm sure she believes that she does. I said, you understand everything except how the tool addresses the can. She sighed. At this point, she said, I don't want baked beans, and marched off. Apocalypse Dad went into full the road mode. Sweetheart, neither of us will eat another bite today until we get into this can of beans.
Oh, really? Because I think I saw the road. And while it was boring, it didn't punch me in the dick. This is ridiculous.
She screamed, ah! She read a book for a while, but soon she was back at the can. The top was all dented. We studied the tool some more. She really wanted to be oriented up and down across the top. The sideways orientation is very counterintuitive. Well, if only you would just show her.
Right. For the record, I'm wrong. This guy, John Roderick, he does still have his tweet account up.
Yes, we'll get to that.
Oh, this is exciting.
I told her stories of some of the great cans I'd opened over the years. She rolled her eyes. We talked about industrial design and what a funny little device the opener is. I showed how I opened cans with a buck knife.
Okay, teach your 9-year-old that. My dad is this kind of person where when I would vacuum and he would yell at me, I'm not vacuuming correctly, tell me to figure it out. I'm like, what? What am I doing? I'm vacuuming. And then he goes, I will show you. I was the head vacuumer at Sears in the vacuum department. Like, nobody knows what you're talking about. God. And he goes, it picks up on the backstroke. So on the backstroke, you go extra slow. Now I just taught you about vacuuming. And it real pretentious, really just to show somehow he was the master of something. And it was with everything. And that's what this douche is. He's the king of fucking cans now. The beautiful cans he opened up over all the years. And the stories, this kid loved these stories. I opened one with a buck knife. No one gives a shit.
That's his next line. He goes, I rhapsodized. Who says rhapsodize? Yeah. That word belongs in Bohemian Rhapsody and nowhere else. I rhapsodize about cold SpaghettiOs straight from the can. It's like, okay.
Okay.
Eventually, she had it all figured out. She had the placement of the tool. She could turn the handle, blah, 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 blah. We'd been at it for 6 hours on and off. We were hungry. I'd been tempted many times along the way to guide her hand. I wanted her to experience the magnificence of the can opener so much. I couldn't stand the suspense. Neither of us liked baked beans that much. The cupboards are bare, so it seemed like a paltry reward for this work.
Right. Well, then be a better parent, too. Provide
why doesn't your house have food, mate? We're in a quarantine. What is going on? Get some cans. Get some frozen pizza.
I like when you get riled up and mate comes out.
I'd forgotten how finicky the tool really is, particularly when it comes to the puncture. By the way, people, I am skipping parts of this. I'm trying to read as little as possible. Right. Finally, she squeezed down on it. Although it was a misfire, a light went off in her head. Many times throughout the day, she'd yelled at me, my brain is fuzzy and I can't think of anything else to try. And I'd say, when your brain doesn't work, trust your hands. Is that supposed to be wisdom, Keith? What is that? When your brain doesn't work, trust your hands? That's not a phrase.
I don't think that's a saying, right?
That's not a saying for a reason. She felt the tool click over the lip of the can. I saw it in her hands. By this point, she developed a little ritual of addressing the tool to the can, starting with it on a vertical axis and rotating it to the horizontal while clamping down in a single motion, a choreography, just unnecessary verbose bullshit. She looked at me excitedly. After 6 hours of trying, you don't want to express too much hope.
Can this be, first of all, part of me is like, is this even real? But again, let's assume it's real.
A lot of people thought it wasn't.
6 hours. Well, I love if it ruined his life or his buddy Ken Jennings' life and it was all made up. 6 hours, your kid's playing with a fucking can and you're just letting them do it.
That's insane.
That's insane.
Was this another blind alley? The can had been through hell, label ripped off, dented, sharpened. A veteran of 1,000 psychic wars. Shut the 1,000 psychic wars.
I hope the sirens are him being arrested.
Yeah, I hope so. She knew, though. She set up again carefully and brought the swing away to bear on the can of baked beans. The sirens are getting loud. They're actually coming for me.
It'd be funny if your house was on fire, but you're so fucking invested.
I finished.
Like, I don't interrupt bonus episodes.
She set up again carefully, brought the swing away to bear on the can of baked beans with the meticulousness of Roger Moore extracting a detonator from an ICBM in The Spy Who Loved Me. Now, Keith, you're a movie expert. Is that reference worth
honestly,
making?
I zoned out halfway through that sentence. I'm like, okay, hard on. Clever. I can tell it's being clever. You can tell when they ramp up to clever. And it's like, okay, let me know when you're done.
A soft pop resounded in the room, so different from all the other sounds we'd made. She didn't look up. She knew the action. A little baked bean sauce appeared. She savored each twist until the lid, as I hoped it would, rewarded her by standing perfectly at attention, saluting her effort and ingenuity. She was elated and carried it to the kitchen in both hands. She knew this was a commonplace task and a common tool, but also this was serious business. She knows her dad and the stock I put in these things. Really?
Yeah, no, she knows you. She knows you. Wait till a boy in high school gives her attention.
Yeah, right. And she's out. A more mechanically inclined kid might have figured it out in minutes. She factored the scale, but was rightfully proud. I'm proud of her too. I know I'm infuriating. I know this is parenting theater in some ways. I suffer from a lack of perseverance myself. And like all parents throughout history, I'm trying to correct my own mistakes in the way I educate my child. She sees through this. The can opener is now a voodoo doll for us. It will appear as an allegory many times in her life. She knows this too, but it's an allegory of triumph. I wish I had more of those for myself. I wish I had more stories.
It's like a news article. Like let's say you had to write every day for a living, and you're just trying to say you're like, I'm going to review Cobra Kai 3, and then you try to make some life message out of it. Like all this is just bullshit. This is the allegory of believing in your hands. Like, it was a can opener. It's not deep. She's 9. I promise this isn't a lasting memory, until she finds out, you lost your job over being a weirdo.
Right. The entire internet.
Yeah, it's not that fucking deep.
He says, I wish I had more stories like this. The only problem is now
too.
she wants to open every can in the house. I told this story on Twitter. None of this I added to give it context. But that is the end of the Bean Dad story. You got through it. Give yourself a round of applause at home because good Lord.
If it does stick with her, then Bean Daughter's going to have a time walking through the can aisle at a grocery store.
Right off the bat, Ashton W. says, YTA, not for any particular reason, just your general personality.
Yeah. And it's all written smug, and it's all written like, right, guys, kids today? Yes, 9-year-olds today.
The length of the post is exactly like the exact kind of father who thinks it's appropriate to let your child do this for 6 hours. Like, this post is 6 hours because this guy just takes forever to do everything. It's like, there's not that much substance here, man.
Yeah.
What'd you do last night? I went to the theater, a most stunning venue laden with many chairs for my buttocks, and I sat down.
Right.
What fucking movie did you see, man?
Right. And I have to guess that when he started getting critiqued, he defends it right away on Twitter, right? As opposed to just letting it the fuck, or sitting for a second like, was I an asshole? No one ever asked that. Was I?
Bridget D says, YTA for this James Joyce novel of a post. Just open the can of beans, show her how to do it. Right. It should be easy with those long-ass arms you use to pat yourself on the back.
Oh, fuck them.
Here's my take, Keith. The lesson here, this is the wrong lesson. This is the wrong lesson. Who gives a can opener? Nothing's like a can opener. I can't name a single object as unintuitive, inscrutable as a can opener.
Right.
The lesson should have been, YouTube it. Google it.
Right.
That's how you solve a problem. He didn't say it. He didn't do none of that. What? And then other people here, oh, well, sometimes you don't have YouTube. When do you not have YouTube?
His jigsaw puzzle was on the computer, actually.
Yeah, he was using their one computer. Yeah, this house is like empty cupboards, one fucking compact Presario, a rotting recliner. Just at Timmery_Lee writes, this lesson will make her super self-reliant, and it'll be a lot easier for her to cut you out entirely as an adult if you continue to be callous and unsupportive.
Right. Yeah, you have no personality, so you know what? Be there for her when she needs a can opened. So that's the best you can hope for.
You mentioned that your dad kind of had similar vibes to this.
Yeah.
You know, he's kind of like imputing all this shit of like, oh, she sees through it. She knows what I'm really doing. Do you think your dad would have said similar things like, oh, I showed him how a vacuum worked and he understands?
Yeah. It taught me about integrity, he thinks, showed me how a vacuum cleaner worked. Every tool he thinks he told me how to do. My sense of humor on Keith and the Girl is because of him.
Oh, God.
I owe him for being successful because he gave me all the drama for me to talk about. We don't get along at all, but I turned that into another funny story, and I owe him half of my Podcasting Hall of Fame award, I think.
God, man, your dad just makes me angry. What a piece of shit. At Magi_J writes, a can opener's operations are not generalizable to other domains such that intense inference is beneficial, which is just a lot of words for she didn't learn shit.
Like she's going to school and telling this great story. Like, I realized I was wrong because... No, she's not telling anybody anything.
No,
he was weird again yesterday.
Lisa B. He was weird. He did that thing he does. He did that thing where he writes 1,700 words about depriving me from a basic human need. Right. Crystal W. writes, NTA, everyone who is mad at this post probably does everything in life for their spoiled children, and when they go out into the world, they'll probably be Democrats.
Right. There you go.
I mean, I give that one props at least because, you know, anytime there's like a MAGA or someone kind of taking an opposing view, they always insult people personally in the group. So I was proud of Crystal for just calling people Democrats. But I don't think you should spoil your... Yeah, I don't think you should spoil your kids. I just don't think this is the right lesson, the right amount of time, the right method of teaching. I don't know that he executed any part of this right.
Just open the beans and then throw them all over the kitchen. Go, did I do it right?
Yeah, and also, can I just say, I've cut myself on a can. She could have cut her finger right off. It's dangerous.
By the way, who's to say? Did the mom run away?
What do you mean? Where's the mom?
I would have ran away from this guy. Is he a single dad?
He's probably going to be single soon.
Can you imagine? Yay, we're trending.
Yeah, he's trying to celebrate.
Hey, honey, are you in the news? Yeah, we all are. Our whole family. What? Yeah, the Rodericks. All the neighbors know.
I'm ready to finalize the divorce. Vivian M says the phrase goes, teach a man to fish, not hand him a fishing pole and watch him struggle forever until he learns.
It has gears, and it's kind of the same as a can opener. It opens fish out of the water.
The BBC reported that author Rachel Lynn Maltese, she said that the lessons the child probably learned were negative. She said, things you taught your kid, food must be earned, disordered eating in the forms of food hoarding and punishing herself by not eating, and asking for help is futile, she wrote. I felt like that was a little too far. I don't, you know, some people were calling this guy abusive. I think he's merely a self-indulgent moron who didn't teach a good lesson.
I can meet you there, but yeah, if there is any lesson learned, it's that my dad's a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah, that's what I think.
If anything deep is taken, then it's only going to be negative.
Someone found old tweets. He made some anti-Semitic joke. He used the phrase.
You don't say. They don't go together, by the way. Oh my God. Of course he did.
"Quote unquote Jew lawyers" was one thing he said. He also had said at one point, "Jews ruin everyone's fun."
Maybe the lawyers happen to be Jews. You can't even say that nowadays. You can't just say Jew lawyer.
He made some rape jokes. These were all, by the way, in like before 2013, and he used the R word. You know, all uncouth stuff, but I honestly found this to be the most offensive. Somebody found this. He published a book of his own tweets and called it Electric Aphorisms.
I don't know what aphorisms mean, but I can guess.
Sayings.
Electric smart shit. Okay, good. Good for him.
It's like, who publishes a book of their tweets?
The tweets aren't clever, I have to assume, right?
They're terrible. They're like this. There was some fallout already. He deleted his account. The podcast, this is a huge podcast, by the way. My brother and me said it would no longer be using his music. They did his theme song.
Oh, okay.
And then he's now restored his account.
That was 24 hours tops. He deleted it. then knew he should restore it. And that's when I saw, like, he calls himself the Bean Dad. The Bean Dad since 2021. So now he thought he should. This is the lesson he learned. I should take it all down. No. I should put it all back up and double down on it and start correcting people. And that's what he decided to do, it looks like.
That's what I find so alarming. Just no acknowledgement of like, look, you don't have to say sorry even, but like this is what he says. He says, somehow my story about teaching my daughter how to work out how to use a can opener and overcome her frustration, got over into a version of Twitter where I'm being accused of child abuse. It's astonishing. My kid is fine, everybody. I'm being ratioed by parenting concerned trolls, and they keep harping on how depriving my kid of baked beans for 6 hours is child abuse. 6 hours is the length of time between meals, lunch at noon, dinner at 6. They're literally saying child abuse.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
and that's what you have to defend.
I wouldn't call Child Protective Services on this guy, but like...
No one is. They're saying you're a fucking weirdo, an asshole, and a can opener isn't so easy for a 9-year-old. Don't be so high and mighty. Now I'm being told... I'm up there with Adolf Hitler.
Yeah.
No, you want to be up there. You want to be the number one hated person. As much as you were trending number one, you're now trending 0. No one gives a fuck. So you could let it go, but you're the one who wants to keep it going. You're the reason it's still a thing.
I mean, just doubling down, man.
Mm-hmm.
Who does this? Just no reception. Like he could have said, like, I understand it was long. Just acknowledge anything.
I understand how self-righteous and is boring.
Just a nightmare person. Am I the asshole for forcing my daughter to learn to use a can opener? I think we agree here. This guy's a huge asshole.
All right.
I think I'm most alarmed at his doubling down because it's like, damn, man, really nothing from all that? You like made everyone mad. You're not even going to say nothing. So you also don't learn from your mistakes at all.
Right. And Ken Jennings, who was trying to do damage control for himself, I understand stood up for this guy. And it's like, then what are you even standing up for? You're not getting that job.
You think? Oh, you think they'll pass over Jennings because of this?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Really?
It's too much, and for what? Anyway, Ken Jennings, quite frankly, and I did find him funny on Twitter. Sometimes I remember he's a bore. He's not a host anybody wants to. Not that Alex Trebek was spinning plates, but nobody really cares. You're lucky if you get that, and this stupidity that really has no gravitas to it at all is what's going to make you lose your job. Yeah, stand up for what you believe in, but what is this?
What is this? It's like, what are you even defending?
Yeah. I know he's a good dad. Shut up. Let it go. Literally, let it go away. What's wrong? You're not smart enough to... That you defend this, you're not smart enough to host Jeopardy.
It's true. This is not a good look.
I'm not saying I could host Jeopardy. I if I watch Jeopardy and I figure out that they're talking about a place, I count that as a win. But...
A place?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm like, hey, they want a person's name. And I'm like, yeah, I knew it. It was a person's name.
All right, guys. Well, that was it. That was a little Bean Dad app.
Hey, you have a section people can write, or they can reach you online, of course. I'd like to know, what headspace do the listeners get in when the episode's a bonus one?
Honestly, I am criticized in a good way. I've come to accept this. But yeah, we put out an episode there in the bonus, and our patrons there, the people who pay, they got some words from me.
What are they saying?
They have issues with some things I said recently. I said that I think that, it could be a good tactic to not necessarily have sex right away on dates, and they called me misogynist, so I'm still kind of processing that. And
a good tactic to... What?
I said, that I think that it can be unattractive. There was an instance many years ago.
To have sex right away.
Yes, a girl, she had sex with me right away, and I was turned off. And, Sarah and I went back and forth, and they called me a misogynist for that, and I'm still chewing on it, so this is not my sort of formal statement on it, but it's stuff like that. I say things, and I get pushback, and I learn, and I appreciate it. I actually like to be called out.
I mean, I don't know. I didn't hear... this thing specifically that you said, but yeah, assuming you're not slut shaming, no, it's not your thing that somebody has sex the first time. Okay, more sluts from me.
Well, yeah, I mean, no, that's a good point too, because maybe I just, I really generalize too much, right? Because I go, oh well, I'm like this, so maybe a lot of guys are like this, but you're really telling me no, Danny. This is
of course, a lot of guys are like that. A lot of guys are like everything. Yes, a lot of guys
but not most.
want to know you more. Maybe not most. We're human goddamn beings, and we like women. Yeah, you're fine. in that regard. You have other issues.
I have a lot of issues otherwise. All right. Well, Keith, thank you so much for joining me, man. Really appreciate it.
You.
And we'll see you next Monday morning, everyone, per usual.
And go do the bonus song. Go ahead.
Keith Malley.